Well, Coffee Stain have only gone and done it again. A lot of people thought after 1.0 it was going to get quiet, it was going to die down, that they was done with it. But no, they have been hard at work on 1.1. We know the consoles are coming soon, more than likely later this year. They wasn't meant to come out at the start of this year, but they've been hard at work on 1.1, bringing us some brilliant quality of life features, and oh boy have they delivered, including some new things to play with. And I'm not going to spoil it right at the beginning of this video if you've not seen the Coffee Stain video. So if you want to go and watch it, I'll put a link in the description, because right now I am going to show you my reaction whilst I was live streaming with the new features, the whole video. And if you want to skip that, I'll put timestamps here in the video where you can skip ahead if you've already seen the video, but you want to hear some juicy things that you might not have noticed or heard, because there was an epic rapid fire moment that was in that video, which shows some spicy things, which should have been a good little segment of its own. So enjoy this quick reaction. Again, if you want to skip this, there'll be a timestamp thing down here where you can kind of skip ahead and whatnot. 1.1.
Fine. 1.1. Let's talk.
Hello.
We'll jump straight from last time's teaser and touch on a few new details after we do some housekeeping. Let's tidy up.
Let's tidy up. Let's tidy up.
So as a bunch of you know, we have a merch store over at lizarddoggo.com where we have a bunch of merch that just restocked, including Fix-It pins, t-shirts, and whatever these are. I'm not quite sure.
Golf balls. And if you're interested in supporting me, by the way, there'll be a link in the description which will take you and to the checkout page where you can get like free stickers, free stuff if you do decide to purchase something with my Lizard Doggo link.
To be honest.
Snap!
We also have a bunch of new stuff in stock, including Fix-It socks, notebooks made from some very quite mysterious and beautiful hide.
Oh.
And Fix-It candles.
Solid biofuel. I'm curious on what they smell like.
Oh, smog. And finally, we also want to remind all of you that the Satisfactory soundtrack on 2LP vinyl will be releasing on the 30th of April. Now, these sold out insanely fast, and due to demand, we have indeed decided to make a second batch. Again, release date is the 30th of April. Pre-orders will be out earlier. If you want one of these, make sure to check in and pre-order them ASAP. Again, all of our merch can be found at lizarddoggo.com. Thank you. Alright, 1.1, and let's start with a couple of quick clarifications. The first one being, what does come out first between 1.1 or the game on consoles? We have said in the past that consoles will be hitting first. That is no longer true, because we have also said since then that consoles will indeed be delayed till later down the line this year, which has shifted the timeline so that 1.1 may now be releasing before consoles instead. When the game eventually does hit consoles, we intend for it to release up to date with 1.1 and for PC and consoles to receive updates at the same time as we go on from there. Another point to clarify is Rain. So we have said in the past that our intention was for Rain to be back in the game with 1.1, which with the wording some people may have taken as a promise, which honestly fair enough. But no, this was always us expressing our wish, our intention to get it back. We have since realized that getting Rain back into the game will require yet another upgrade of Unreal Engine. Seeing as we are on the fast track to releasing 1.1 and consoles at the same time, well, not at the same time, but we are developing both ends at the moment, we don't really have enough time to fit an engine upgrade because that is such a massive undertaking. So we have decided to push Rain even further down the line, exploring options, maybe even actually tackling an engine upgrade after console release. But for now, Rain will not be in 1.1.
I'm hoping we get more weather than just rain as well, like fog,
and finally,
storms.
just to be clear, today is not a deep dive into 1.1. There will be more videos and more talks about details in the future. This is a basic rundown, plus a couple of extras. Let's start. Alright, 1.1 content, and to start off, can we please talk about how the teaser last time was even made in the first place with the help of the game's new photo mode? Like guys, I can't stress enough what an insane facelift the photo mode is getting in 1.1.
So they've got point-to-point cameras as well.
Anyone with the game alone could recreate every individual shot that you saw in the teaser.
Keyframes.
All the camera movement, depth of field adjusting, filters, combinations, poses, everything is changeable, doable with the help of a ton of cool new settings in the photo mode.
Of stuff.
This is absolutely a topic that we're going to zoom in on and focus on a lot more in the future, but seriously, it is extensive and it is wild. Speaking of wild, let's talk about hypertubes. We now have three-way tube junctions that can be placed on their own or be attached to existing junctions or supports. This means that when you travel through a hypertube attached to a junction and you reach said junction, you can now change paths seamlessly by pressing the E key to select which of the routes you want to traverse through. On top of this, we're also adding hypertube branches. These work similarly to junctions, but can only be accessed by traveling through the hypertube's longer segment due to the branch's shape.
Okay.
Now, fine. You've been waiting.
Entrances.
You've been patient. Kinda. You win. Vertical splitters and mergers will be a thing with 1.1. These work exactly how you expect them to and can be placed virtually anywhere on your lift. Split them. Go on. Have fun. On the topic of mergers in particular, priority mergers are now also a thing in Satisfactory with 1.1, and these also work exactly like you expect. These are mergers with 3 different levels of priority that will more carefully allow you to control the output of your factory, but it would be a shame if this new output did not come with a surefire way of tracking exactly how many items you are transporting on these belts, and so we figured that 1.1 is the perfect time to introduce conveyable throughput displays. You're welcome, folks, and a few key things to know about these displays are that they count items per minute on the belt and that they have a startup calculating time. This is because actual physical objects in the game need to pass through scan lines attached to each display for a bit for the display to understand exactly how many items are traveling through that specific spot on the belt. Because conveyor belt displays show you how many items are being transported through a specific spot, it is possible to have a conveyor belt that seamlessly goes from, say, a Mark II belt to a Mark III belt and have a display on both segments of these belts, so one on the Mark II and one on the Mark III part, and have 2 different displays show 2 different outputs depending on how fast the belts are. Simply put, one display will show you exactly how many items are being transported through that specific segment of a belt. These displays are put on belts whether they are straight, pasta, or curved. Because yes, curved build mode is also landing with 1.1.
Oh my god.
And this applies to both belts and pipes, allowing you to make truly
I'm not gonna lie,
spaghetti.
I'm a guy who loves curves. Just saying. So if you're single and have got curves, how you doing?
Wherever you so desire. But that's not the only build improvement, because lo and behold, straight pipes
baby!
also arriving. No words needed. Have fun. So, how do you elevate an update like this from here? Well, as I'm sure that many of you noticed in the teaser, we now also have personnel elevators coming to Satisfactory with 1.1. And we want to emphasize that these are called personnel elevators, so don't try any funky stuff with them vehicles, please. Elevators can be...
I was, not gonna lie, that was the first thing I was gonna do. Let me just go back here. I'm sorry, I didn't want to pause it there, but that was the first thing I was gonna check with the cards.
Don't try any funky stuff with them vehicles, please. Elevators can be placed virtually anywhere you want. Once you place an elevator, you will be able to zoom it vertically to your desired elevation and add as many elevator floor stops as you wish. You will be able to customize the names for each floor as well as the icons and colors for each button on the elevator panel, taking you to each individual floor. This way, you can keep track of exactly where every single button takes you
Very,
in
very
the
simple.
elevator and where every stop leads. Speaking of stops, for all of you train lovers out there, we are also adding railway buffer stops, and these come in to prevent trains from derailing when you manually drive a train and reach the end of a track. They also just look kinda neat, just like all the other new architectural pieces we are adding. Among these are some fresh new beams, cables, vents, fans, and garage doors. Oh, and we also have shelves. These are stackable and are great for your personal storage containers. Thumbs up. And on top of all that garbage, we are also adding a bunch of other stuff like crash site dismantling, deforestation animations, conveyor wall holes, left-handed wave signals, improved sign sampling and drone pathing, no fuel cheat, a bunch of bug fixes and cleanup, and vertical nudging, and I'm not even joking when I say that 1.1 will be hitting the experimental branch on the 1st of April, the Tuesday after this video releases.
Next
So,
Tuesday,
pioneers,
baby!
if you are hungry for some new Satisfactory content that you just wanna sit back, enjoy,
Next
try
Tuesday,
out,
baby!
please do kick back. Maybe on a couch.
Wait, controller coming in as well?
And join us.
The controllers are coming next week. Wait, chat, I can see you spamming about the blueprints. I'm going to go and check in a second. Okay? I see you.
To place the constructor, press X. Well, that's not confusing at all, is it?
So there we have it. How incredibly juicy was that? Again, make sure you go into the description, go over to the Coffee Stain channel, make sure you comment, like, and just show them some love for what they've done in regards to quality of life. Because did you see vertical nudging, blueprint auto connects, elevators, merge priority switches, the curves on pipes and belts, which you kind of already seen, nudge the vertical nudging. There was also the fans, the vents, the new buildables, the quality of life to straight pipes, curves. There is just so much. So let me just switch over here. 1.1 and consoles. We know consoles are coming. They was meant to be coming out at the start of this year, and they've pushed that back and delayed it until later this year, or maybe next year. Who knows? But whenever it's done, it'll be ready. We've got to make sure it's right. But 1.1 has been the main focus. The rain. We've wanted rain. A lot of people don't like the rain, and people are like, why are they adding rain? Don't worry, there probably will be a toggleable option to disable it. So don't worry if you don't want the rain. There will highly likely be an option for you to disable the rain, because I know a lot of people wasn't a big fan of it in the early development stages, so it wouldn't surprise me again if they do bring in a like toggleable option to disable it. So on the other hand, they've got photo mode, which is absolutely insane. Like, oh boy. I'm going to have to disable my camera here just so you guys can see what I'm looking at. But they've added a dolly system. I don't think you realize how good this is going to be for content creators. Because, let's just say, in the past, myself and Total Eclipse has gone into multiplayer sessions, put a Mark 1 belt down, and I've got into photo mode and sat on the belt just so I can be a dolly cam for Total's video, let's say, for example, right? And that's how we used to do it. But now, we have now got a dolly system. And what this will do is you'll set a start point and an end point. I would presume there might be keyframes where you might be able to go, okay, go to this point, blah, blah, blah. Kind of like how Fixit Cam works now, if you know what that mod is. You can set the duration for it, lock on the tracking point. So if you wanted to do a panning shot, you could probably lock onto target and you'll do like a slow pivot around. This is going to be great for content creators and definitely something I'm going to use. They have got blend camera settings, interpolations, you can linear, camera, image, pioneer, camera mode, decoupled, or you can have it probably static onto the actual Pioneer itself. You can do tracking focus. So if you was to play multiplayer and somebody was in photo mode and somebody's running around, you could track onto that player kind of. You got the aperture mode. You got a grid if in case you want like the thirds, you know all that kind of stuff, right? It's very, very cool. They show off the filters, which as we know, this one has to be my favorite. I think it's gonna be a lot of people's favorite, but not that you can change the colors of it to other ones as well. Which is pretty insane. It's like you can just change the color of it, like the hue and the tint and whatnot. Next, hypertube junctions. We kind of already know about this from the original trailer. We then have, if you actually come along here a little bit, it's if you've ever put a pump on a pipe, you'll notice here in the background, you can kind of see these little indicators right here, and that's usually shows like a flow rate, or that's where the head lift is going to hit on a pipe. It's very similar to how pipes work, hypertubes works, and it's showing it's basically an indicator of which direction you're going to turn in that by just using the A and D key, or is it E? I'm pretty sure you mentioned E. What did he mention here? Okay, so whilst you're just going down, you just tap E. So you'll be holding W to kind of go through there, like most people will. You don't have to. And you just tap E and it will just automatically switch the direction. So that's that. We then got these, which is the hypertube branches, which is basically like a little L shape or T shape, whichever you want to comfort what it is. My curiosity about this is it's used in two directions. What about if you did not put a pipe here? Are you allowed to jump into this section? Could you jump out of that section as an exit point? I would presume so. That's why I'm curious about that, basically. We've then got vertical splitters and mergers, which we kind of already knew about. We can see here that it's instantly snapping them to the lift, and that's automatically creating snapping points to the constructor as well. But obviously, you'll have to hold control if you want it to snap there. And we can see when he snaps it to the machine here, we can see that the silica comes out, and then it goes down the actual lift. So it will work is if you want to, we got confirmation on Tuesday on the dev stream that if you was to put down a merger and you was to aim at a belt at it, it'll go to the sides. But if you aim at the merger with a lift or a splitter, it'll go to the top section or the bottom section. So we have that. Then we got this juicy little piece, priority mergers, which is going to be super nice because as of right now, you might see it in this week's video because I'm doing a uranium build and I've made my own priority merger. In the vanilla base game right now, on a normal merger, the side mergers are a priority equally to each other, but they override the input that's on the opposite side of the output. So if you had 120 going in here, 120 going in there, and this was a 270 belt, this 120 will constantly flow, this 120 will constantly flow, and this one will stutter. That's how it works at the minute. Where now we can actually go inside of it and choose the priority, which is super duper nice. Hi, this is Editing Bits, by the way. Hello. The next portion of the video where the camera is up in the top right hand corner, the audio is doubled. Spoon problem, made a big error on my behalf. I apologize. There's nothing I can really do about it. We are redoing the whole segment and talking about it again. And I'd just rather keep it raw than do it all again and not get my more instant reaction kind of thing. I feel that's more important than redoing it all to kind of give more of a legitimate reaction kind of. So I apologize it. Back over to recording bits. And I've just realized the camera wasn't back on this scene, so my bad. Next, we got throughput displays, which we kind of already knew. Super nice. The only thing that we didn't know about them, which there needs to be a calibrating section now. So when you put it onto the belt, it takes a little bit of time for the items to go through and the machine to kind of go, okay, it's calibrating this. So kind of makes sense. And it goes through the nice little lasers. And we also got confirmation in a previous video that at night time they do kind of glow pretty nicely. We actually see that in the 1.1 teaser from 2 weeks ago. Next, we talked about the curve build mode, which is super nice. We can see build mode curve, and we can see him literally placing down like the nothing. And we've also got the auto 2D, which is normal, nodal, horizontal, which is normal, and then we have curve, which creates nice little curves. And we can see that straight pipes are now here as well, which obviously they wanted feedback on if we wanted them. Of course, we wanted them when they announced 1.0. Next, personal elevators. Very nice. I like how they've done these. They did state that it's not purposely for vehicles, even though you can see in this clip, where was it? Was it here? That he tried using it with the fix-it cards, which was going to be my first little thing to play around with. And you can see you can make up to 50. I think it's 50 floors you can make, because as you can see, it's a 5x5 grid, and he's already using 10 right here. So, and it looks like when placing it down, it can just go up as high as you want it to go up. We can see here, like, just builds it up. There's no capacity or limit, so he just straight up. And I'm going to guess with deleting, you'll be able to delete individual blocks coming down. So, which is pretty nice. Unless they do it 10 by 10, but that's more than 10 by 10 right there. Again, obviously it needs power. And then you can just attach a doorway, an entrance to the actual lift. And then once you go to the actual switch, it'll say that is like 76 meters away. Like you can see here, floor 2, 76 meters away. Rename them. You can rename the colors, blah, 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 blah. Then we also got railway buffer stops, which was something unexpected, because once you have an empty rail, they will just fly off. But having this little thing is kind of a pretty neat little... You can have it just as a visual aspect, especially if you're using slinkies. So if you're having a slinky train going from one station to another, you can just attach that onto the end of the train and do your train line. So give it a visual, aesthetic, rather than just, just being empty. So it looks like it's going to fly off naturally. New architectural pieces, which we already know about. We've kind of gone through, so we'll kind of skip over this. It's just, the beams, the rails, all that kind of stuff, which we kind of know about. There's nothing in this image that I've seen that is different or new. We have got confirmation that there is new vents, and we did get confirmation on Tuesday on the dev stream as well with Emmett, the game director, who was in chat, who did say that these vents do have SFX, so they do have sounds as well, which you can kind of hear it here. If I turn it up, you can kind of hear it slightly, just the kind of with a fan especially. And the doors, these doors are 2x2. I didn't actually realize this. I don't know why I didn't spot it in the actual breakdown I did 2 weeks ago, but they are 2x2, so big enough to bring in your vehicles. I think it's big enough for trains as well, so I'm pretty sure two foundations high for train, because I'm pretty sure the I'm pretty sure they're 7.7 meters high. I could be wrong, but putting items on here, it would be nice if we can go up to it and press E, slide the items, and it just shows 1, 2, like a 2 slot. Next we got rapid fire, which is why it was in rapid fire, I don't know, because this needs a whole section on itself. Blueprint auto connecting. So we can see now, especially right here, these connection points. We can see a little chain link right here, and that's just indicating where the auto belt is going to connect to. And we can see it works here, and I will put a message up on this stream right now, which is from Lim, who is a Coffee Stain dev. He was in the stream whilst we was reacting to this, who did state, as you can see right here, you're able to do it with the train lines as well. So if you have a blueprint for trains, like a highway, for example, I think I might have to redo my highway now, hence the reason the connection points, but train tracks will also reconnect to other trains as well now. So that's not explained in this video or shown in this video, but it was confirmed by Lim, who is a programmer for Coffee Stain, in my Twitch chat earlier. So we'll be able to do this with train tracks as well as belts. So if you're one of these people that wants to make belt highways, you're going to be able to do that with ease now by just putting belts and belts and belts and just get them connecting to each other. It's going to be so nice. And then it's not explained here, but also he did also confirm, if you did watch my reaction earlier, you kind of see me read it out. He did say vertical nudging is also available with blueprints. It's not shown here also, and it's not shown in the keybinds at the bottom. It just said toggle build mode, but that's also the same for, like, you know, the snapping, snap to blueprint, snap to not to blueprint, and whatnot. So you are able to vertical nudge blueprints now also. Next, we were able to delete hard drives if you collected them and stuff now, which we kind of already knew about. You're able to drive into foliage and destroy them, which used to be a thing back in the day. I remember. No, it was a thing for the berry plants and stuff. Then we talked about this in the past teaser, which is the open, freely placed conveyor holes now, which we can place these anywhere, just like pipe hole walls, which is super nice and super fine and bloody dandy. Next, for all those British players or us left-hand drivers, we can now flip the signals, where if you remember right now, as of me releasing this video, if you are on a left-hand side train and you was to put a signal on it and you had a right-hand side track coming the opposite way, the actual signals will clip through each other, where now we can actually flip it. So for anyone in the world that drives on the left-hand side, it's not many, but you now can put signals without clipping through each other, because it is a bit of a pain, especially if you put it together. Next, we have copy and paste in regards to signs. You can already copy and paste them now, but what this is if you look at a sign and copy it and paste it, it will take over the details with it. Where before, it would just copy the sign and then you'll have to copy the stuff on the sign over to the next sign. Does that make sense? So if you're doing blue lights, instead of placing loads of signs down, you can just copy and paste and it'll automatically add the color to it now, instead of pasting them all down and then going through all the colors again, or whatever you have on it. No fuel cost, for if you want to use cheats. I say cheats, but advanced features. Interact with the coffee machine. This was something I mentioned when I got my hands on 1.0 straight away. I was like, I'm curious on why they did not add this in. So maybe they saw that, maybe they didn't. But at the end of the day, we can now fill our coffee cup up with coffee, even though it's an endless bottle, endless cup. But there is a few bugs. Vertical nudging, obviously it's shown here, but it doesn't show on the blueprint. We've already talked about that. And then the last thing he talks about is controllers. Oh, did I forget that this update comes out this Tuesday on the 1st of April? Actually, not April Fools. So that's going to be nice and spicy. And controller support coming with 1.0. So this is going to be super good for us content creators as well, especially if you want to get some nice, smooth, long panning shots that the camera mode might not support because there might be a distance thing, which is super nice. And then at the end, he just kind of does what he does. But there we have it. That is basically what has been in. So if there might have been something you might have missed in there, I'm pretty sure you would have seen it all. But I just wanted to get my 2 little cents on it. But the Blueprint Auto Connect is something I think a lot of people are going to have as their favorite feature from this update. So I'm going to leave that there because this video has gone on a bit long. So I appreciate you all. Let me know what your favorite feature is coming into 1.1, because there will be some more stuff coming. So, and I will, I'll see you all in the next video. So keep smiling, and I'll see you then.